And as we talk about, curiosity in journalism, a great journalist can answer the questions of the whys and the whats, right? And it's similar like a detective. And just from your 43 years of experience, like, could you share with us like a story of how far you went to actually get the quote unquote story or answer the what and why in a situation?
Lawrence Taylor had been suspended for cocaine use. And I was there and I was trying to cover this story. And Lawrence Taylor was at the Giants facility. He met with all the print writers. So he didn't meet with anybody from TV. And I was working at CNN at the time. And he came out and he had this dark blue Porsche. And and I had my camera there. And I said, Lawrence, can you read that statement on camera? And he didn't say anything. And then he walked a little bit and I walked up. I said, Lawrence, Dan Patrick, CNN, can you read that on camera for me, please? Because he did that for the print media. And I thought, okay. And then he said, get the real story. And I said, I already talked to your agent, which I did. I had called his agent prior to this saying I'm going to be there. And then Lawrence continued to walk. And I said, Lawrence. And then he turned. He had these dark sunglasses. I could see the whites of his eyes through those sunglasses. And I said to my cameraman, Ricky, I said, Ricky, roll on it if he hits me. And I asked him one more time, and he kept walking, got in his car and peeled out. And I was like, oh my God. But I had to I was trying to get the story. I wasn't being disrespectful. I asked his agent. He had already done this for the print media. And I thought, gosh. Whew. And that's one of those where your heart's racing. But I did the right thing. I did it in the right way. I didn't get my story.
No. Well, let me ask you this: do you think that that was intrusive?
No.
Okay,
He already read a statement to the print media. Why is that intrusive? If you're not reading, you're reading something for them. Why can't you read something for TV?
yeah,
To me, there was, it wasn't like he was being suspended. Here's the best defensive player in the game, and he's being suspended. It was a big story. And all I wanted was him to read the statement that he gave to the print media. Nothing more.
I think oftentimes this is extremely important in any story, right? Perspective. Um, Being in the public eye, having public ridicule, there's things that a person may say, "Man, I'll never do that," or Why did he say that?" Or what was the story behind certain things? From the athlete's perspective, you could always say, Cam, I heard you say this. What's your thought process on that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think a lot of people know what they're actually doing from asking for a picture at the worst
Oh,
opportune
yeah.
time, or to just be able to say, like, hey, can we talk about certain things that it may be too sensitive for a person to kind of delve into properly, right? So that's why I asked the question of, do you think that it was intrusive? You were giving or painting the picture of him walking to his car. I know how that feels from the athlete. Once I say, okay, any more questions? Boom, it's over with. I'm in a different phase of Cam. And I don't want to go back. I don't want to talk. I don't want to, give you what you need because you weren't there when I was giving what you needed, right? And is that
I
my
wasn't
fault?
allowed. I wasn't allowed in that room.
Right.
It was only print. I was not allowed to have a camera in there, and that's why I was saying I'm trying to do my job. If you let me in that room, I'm not asking you this on the way to your car. And you're right. A lot of times I'll have athletes on or coaches on or managers on because I want them to tell me why they said something.
Yeah.
I want to put it in context. How many times does somebody say, "Oh, you're taking it out of context"?
Yeah.
Put it in context. I'm all for that. Let me understand exactly what you mean by this. But I mean, I'm not one of those. gotcha journalists or reporters or TMZ, or I don't do any of that. But that was a huge story. And if LT had just said, hey, I'll do it to one camera, you guys can share the video, fine. But that he didn't do that. Therefore, I thought I have to at least get this story, or at least try to.
Well, there's certain things that you have to think about too, Uncle Dontavius. It wasn't the best story to be told if a person is being suspended for cocaine. I mean, we can't even use that on YouTube, let alone, you know what I'm saying, in the climate of what New York media is. But that brings up a fair point. Have you ever had an Ahmad Rashad MJ relationship with an athlete that you felt like, hey, no, that Cam didn't say that. Matter of fact, hey, Cam, or blah, 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 like, take me through, you know, what really happened, and you had that journalist-athlete relationship that we've seen oftentimes in sports.
Yeah, it's a great point. I was friends with Mark McGuire, and so I interviewed him a few times for SportsCenter. I became friends with him, and all of a sudden, the home run chase with Sammy Sosa, and then all of a sudden we got steroids, and now I had to make a conscious decision to do my job. And this hurt my relationship with Jason Giambi as well, because I was friends with him. And then there were, PEDs, they're steroids. And I think both thought, wait a minute, we're friends. I made the mistake of having a friendship with them. In retrospect, I think I got caught up in, oh, hey, that's Mark. He's my friend, or Jason Giambi. And I learned a really valuable lesson. And I've learned that you have to have some separation there. If you're going to do your job, you have to have separation. Now, have I gotten more information? Have I gotten more access because of that? And I did with athletes. But I just wanted to be careful, because there are a lot of times when you get behind the velvet rope and you don't like what you're seeing or hearing. And then you're kind of stuck.
Yeah. Would you do it again?
No.
So covering the Giambi and the McGuire, you would not report that, given the same circumstance. Would you report it again?
I would continue to report it, or I wouldn't be friends with them.